Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Gemma, Francie, good morning. Hope the background noise is not too loud. A little bit cold here this morning. Waiting for the heat to shut down. It's blowing in right now. I don't know, microphone's in right location, so you might hear like a noise because the vent is back behind the camera about 2 feet. But it's better than freezing. Good morning, Short and Ice. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everyone had a great week. Remember to be on live chat or all chat so you will see the messages as they come in. Good morning, Kitty Q. Welcome to this morning's Page 2 News. You don't hear it? Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, Francie. Normally, I like to turn it down so it's not blowing, while I'm in here, because it does, it is annoying if it's all you hear is a wind noise in the background. But didn't have much of a choice this morning. It's like I gotta turn it on. Do that or freeze. And I'm not one for freezing today. My week has been busy. I went to see Les Mis on Thursday. Absolutely loved it. Les Miserables. One of the Les Miserables is by far one of the best Broadway shows I have ever seen. Miss Saigon was pretty good. Cats. Um, Fiddler on an Old Tin Roof. Along with that, those shows. I love Broadway plays. But I'm lucky that where I live in Spokane, Washington, uh, they have a Class A opera house and theater. So all of the traveling Broadway shows, the same ones you'd see on Broadway in New York, come through there. Lifetime, I've probably seen close to 40 of the Broadway plays. I used to go see a lot more before my daughter was born. We used to try to make it up there every couple of months to see it. The only Broadway show you've ever seen is Book of Mormon. I have never seen that, Kitty Coo. The Book of Mormon. One of the ones that I've missed. I'm sure it was good though. Me feel emotional and power of the actors and music was insane. Nothing beats a good Broadway play or a good play. Now I've seen plays done by we have a local actors theater here, and they've been putting on plays since the 1930s, and every week they have another one. Will, do you do ballet? Do they have a ballet company here? No, Francie, no ballet company. Used to. We used to have an outdoor Greek amphitheater, and they used to put on ballets there. Huge, beautiful outdoor theater, but that has been since bulldozed and is now a Hampton Inn Hotel and Suites. Yeah, they call it progress. Put the air quotes behind that. Last week you saw Matilda, the musical. That would be cool. Yeah, I wish they had a ballet company here. The local actor studio theater. It back when that building was built, I think 1940 when it was built, it was originally a movie theater. So it's got a short, it only has so much room for a stage, and they put on really good plays there. I've seen a lot of plays there, but there's not enough room for necessarily a traveling ballet or a ballet performance. We also have a children's theater that is another building all together on another part of town that is all just children who do theater productions. So that's pretty cool. We thought about getting my son involved in that, but he wouldn't be eligible until next year. Well, after his next birthday. Excuse me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get page 2 news going. This is the 254th edition of page 2 news. Now with 2% more fuckery and less life surreal. Mikey likes it that way. Shout out to last week's supporters. Didn't have any contributions directed, donations, but I want to give a shout out to the 38 new subscribers who joined this channel last week, at least as of the 13th of yesterday. Thank you very much for clicking that subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed, I hope after this program you will consider doing so. And FYI to everyone, I have never run ads on YouTube Shorts videos for the first 24 hours after they air. For anyone out there who sees these ads in your local area placed on there, that is 100% YouTube. I get nothing from that. I can't remove them. I can't do anything about it. I do not endorse these products or services or people who may be running for political office. That's not on me. I cannot in any way or shape or form take those ads off. That's YouTube. Viewer discretion is strongly advised for anything you may see or hear on this channel. This channel discusses real crimes involving real victims and real investigations and real consequences. The case and coverage may include violence, disturbing details, and topics that are not suitable for everyone. Dark humor may be present, but let's be clear, the crimes themselves are not the entertainment, and the victims are never the punchline. If you're here for facts, content, and uncomfortable truths, welcome. If you're here for romanticizing criminals, argue in bad faith, or get offended by reality, this may not be the channel for you. Viewer discretion, again, is strongly advised. Common sense is required, and being a keyboard warrior is not rewarded. Good morning, Gayla. Welcome to this morning's page 2 news. I'm trying to turn the caption off here. There we go. Finally, it worked. Please never forget the party that told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final and most essential command. That was from George Orwell's 1984. And it was the same thing that was reiterated by Adolf Hitler in 1939 when the international community asked him, why are you rounding up the Jews and gypsies in your country? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. I would never do something like that. I'm just getting rid of the criminals. You can make reference to that however you want for today's society. $100,000 reward is now being offered in the return or apprehension of those responsible in the Nancy Guthrie case. My investigation, if you see my video last week, I posted a video about what I was able to learn from the actual video clip and the still photos that the FBI released. I said that the person would be 5'9" to 5'10", be slightly heavier build, 180 to 195 pounds, have a shoe size of 10 to 10.5, and would be wearing a backpack of Zod or Zod, sold online from an older product line. The black gloves would account for nothing, and each house being Nikki's and Nancy's house would be searched again, but only after the media arrived. And even as far as last night in investigation and SWAT team, they set up an area in front of where they block off the roads, or they before they do a search, they block off the road and they say this is where the media should be, and they cordon off that area next to where they're going to be at. They're doing it on purpose. You need to know that they're doing this. It's not like, hey, we're going to go search this place, we're going to arrest some people. If you tell the media ahead of time you're going to this area, you're going to be doing this, and here's where you can all be at, so you have a good angle at the actual crime scene or the search. It's being done just for the media. Understand that. It's not a coincidence when the media shows up, there's a whole bunch of cones and a sign that says media area. What did I get wrong? The backpack is actually made by Ozark Trail, not by Zod or Zode. Yeah. Everything else that I have pointed out so far that I deemed from the video and the still photos was 100% correct. They confirmed that the perpetrator they're looking for is 5'9" to 5'10", 185 to 195 pounds, and that the person has a shoe size under 11. Wow, I said 10 to 10 and a half. The black gloves. So many people have made it an issue about, hey, gloves were found here, gloves were found there. Absolutely nothing has come from the gloves, and we will get into that. And again, last night they did a search warrant with a SWAT team in an area that was near Nancy Guthrie's home. Again, they blocked off the road and they set up an area to the left of the intersection marked with a traffic cone and sign that said media area. Let's talk about the knit ski mask that can be seen in the video. All of the following places that you see here in white are all places that sell a knitted ski mask or a ski mask, or have in the past 2 years, in and around a 10-mile area of Nancy Guthrie's home. That is a lot of places to go get a ski mask. Everything from cycling shops to outdoor backpackers and places for people for doing outdoor activities and skiing, along with Amazon, eBay, Temu. Think of anyone else that sells outdoor equipment, such as, lawn and garden, equipment. Hell, even Milwaukee Tools sells ski masks. Let's talk about the black latex gloves. Again, here's a list of those within a 10-mile area of Nancy Guthrie's home that sell black, dark blue, purple, light blue, or a skin tone latex glove. But these are all the ones that sell black gloves only. Everything from Amazon, Hobby Lobby, hardware stores, crafting stores, you name it, they sell it. 14 medical supply companies that I didn't have room to list on there, 8 hobby stores that are not listed, and 11 surplus stores. Again, in the Tucson area that sell black latex gloves. Any truth to the following things that have come out this past week? Tommaso, Nikki's husband, fits the body size and height of the person seen on the video and still photos. Sorry about the misspelling of Tommaso, because for some stupid reason, every time I type it in correctly, it keeps on auto-correcting it. TMZ has received additional ransom letters. Carlos Prezellos is the kidnapper, or however you pronounce his last name. I'm sorry for butchering that. Other things people want to know about is there's less than a 10% chance that Nancy Guthrie is still alive. Additionally, people want to know if Nancy Guthrie can be tracked by her pacemaker. Answers to those questions are: the son-in-law has not been ruled out, nor has anyone else. He matches a couple of the features, but the approximate shoe size build does not match. But height, but does not match. He matches the approximate size and shoe size. He matches those two, but not the height. They have received about TMZ. Have they received additional ransom letters? No, but they have received 2 additional emails from someone who said that they know who the kidnapper is. The first letter said, "Give us 1 Bitcoin, approximate value of $65,000, and we'll give you the name of the person who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie." The second letter said that this was their last letter, that they're not going to be reaching out anymore because they're not being taken seriously. But again, and reiterated and put the Bitcoin wallet in there. Give us 1 Bitcoin, and we'll tell you who did it. Carlos, the delivery driver, was arrested, questioned, and then released immediately. Less than 2 hours later, and has been cleared by the police department and FBI as being anyone of interest in the case. As of 2/12/26, it stands at 70% chance she is alive, but it drops a lot in next week. And then from every day out, this coming Monday, the chances of her being alive drop dramatically. One, for her medical conditions. Two, that the ransom and all this was even real. Next question answer is, can she be traced by her pacemaker? No, but she can be traced by, in case later on down the road they do find remains buried someplace. She can be traced by the serial number that is on the actual pacemaker themselves. Every pacemaker made after 1978 has a serial number. Additionally, there have been a lot of people who online in different streams and content are acting like the armchair detective on this case. I cannot reiterate this enough, and nor do I want to go through this ever again with another armchair detective. There is no second person seen in the shadows when the perpetrator goes to remove the flowers from the bed outside of the entranceway to the house. Nor does the suspect look up towards another person. I'm not surprised by the fact that this is another instance of people jumping at this. It's not true. There is no flash of light, and there is no the person looks up into the left towards another person. It's not real. But people want to see things in the shadows because they want to be able to talk about it and get people to give up their money for them, and to them, because they believe that they have something there. As of 2/13/26, activity. The Pima County Sheriff, along with the FBI, served a search warrant approximately 1 1/5 of a mile from Nancy Guthrie's home, detained 2 people at the location, which does rent out as an Airbnb. We do not know if the people who are detained there yet are the homeowners, or if they are renting the place out as part of the Airbnb. That information is not available because the sheriff's office did not say anything, nor has the FBI. Neither the sheriff or the FBI has made any official statements other than what they posted on X. The sheriff did, that they will have no other press conferences or anything else at this time. But the search of this home was connected to Nancy Guthrie, and that is it. You can read into it how much you want, but what is there factually, that is what it says. They have no other statement, and yes, this search of the home was connected to Nancy Guthrie's search. A white newer model SUV was stopped and searched. Sheriff officers could be seen holding up a yellow tarp next to the door of the SUV. This was because it was raining at the time, and it was not being done to cover up a crime scene or a death. Oh my God. The shit that I seen online last night. I don't want to mention this YouTube creator and also TikTok influencer who said that they stumbled upon a dead body, that it was a traffic stop, and that the person self-harmed themselves. All of that, 100% of that is bullshit. But they did it anyways. And then a minute later, started asking people to send them money. Send me this, send me that, so I can keep on reporting on this. It's absolutely untrue. But there were close to, I think, 29,000 people watching that stream. But they kept on reiterating over and over again and acting like they were shaken up, that they stumbled upon, a crime scene. The white SUV that was stopped in front of a business that was well lit, not on a dark, road in the middle of nowhere like they made it out to be. That's the world we live in. People see it on a live stream. It's got to be true. It's happening right now. Additionally, the Pima County Sheriff's Office confirmed to Arizona Family Channel 3 and their affiliates that no gloves were found inside of the home. That is Nancy Guthrie's home. A lot of people have been asking about these black gloves. Were they found inside the home? No, the Pima County Sheriff's Office confirmed no gloves were found anywhere in the home. No gloves were found on the property of Nikki or Tommaso either. Video showing a sheriff's officer picking up gloves was them picking up their own used gloves after they had searched the septic tank on the property. Yuck. The gloves, and by the gloves, I do mean plural, were found as far as 10 miles from the home in a ditch, backyard, abandoned property. These gloves they're collecting up anything and everything along the way, to the home, away from the home, in the mountains, off of a hiking trail, anywhere they can find them. They're looking for them, and they're capturing them and processing them. The Pima County Sheriff's Office confirmed that DNA has been collected from inside of Nancy's home, and they are not saying where the DNA was found. That is it. They're not saying that they found DNA that belongs to a family member. They're not saying that they found DNA that belonged to a perpetrator. They're not saying that the DNA was, that was blood that didn't belong to Nancy, that was someone else's blood. None of that. That is all 100% horse shit again. And I'm sorry for having to point that out and use that word, but you have to call it for what it is. But people keep on, speculating that, DNA found in the home. It has to be from the perpetrator. It could have been anybody, from a plumber who was there working on the home to the person who was, installed the security cameras for her after she had the last cameras put up. All they're saying is that DNA was collected from inside the home, and it does not match Nancy's. That's it. Other items collected along the roadside and driveways, backyards, and neighboring homes have been sent to a forensics laboratory along with the latex gloves for DNA and fingerprinting, not Quantico's FBI lab. That is because there's a backlog at the Quantico, case. That, again, the FBI's Quantico laboratory is for every case across America that may be going on. They don't have the time to say, okay, the Nancy Guthrie case is more important. We need to put that in, fast track that DNA and that fingerprinting of these items over other cases. That's just not going to happen. They prioritize things, true, but they can't say Nancy Guthrie takes precedence over this triple homicide. They can't do that. So the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department agreed to jointly, they agreed to send that evidence to the forensics laboratory that the Pima County Sheriff's Department uses in Florida. Additionally, why is there a backlog at the Quantico, Virginia lab? Because of Doge and Elon Musk cutting funding for that laboratory. Hey, we have to slash money so it makes Elon look good. He did something, right? Next, be very careful where you watch, listen, and get your news from. Not all these those reporting on the case are journalists or have journalistic integrity. I would put that at almost a 0% if you're watching it live, because they're going to rehash and read into it whatever they want, and they're going to do anything they can to get those clicks and people, staying on their station and watching. It's pathetic, but that happens in every high-profile case, though. A lot of these reporting, are reporting rumors, falsehoods they know are false. My God, the amount of false information that was being thrown out there last night on this search was unbelievable. Just to drive interactions and views. As of the 13th of this month, I'm going to give these people, a letter grade. Newsmax, you get a D minus. And you're lucky I'm even giving you that. And that's only because you had a couple of former FBI agents on your show who talked about search, and warrants. I'm giving you a D minus there. You're lucky you got that high. Fox 2 News, you get a flat out F. You're lucky I'm even giving you that. You deserve a 0. ABC 15, a D. And you're lucky you're getting that grade. It's pathetic. It is absolutely pathetic, the amount of false information these people are throwing out there and rehashing. Hey, ABC News said this. Let's report that. We'll call them our affiliate now. No, you're not affiliated with Fox TV. Is not affiliated with ABC 15, but they're going to say they are anyway. So it sounds like we have that scoop. We have those people. It's absolute crap. It's a sad day in this country, ladies and gentlemen, when TMZ gets a better grade than mainstream media. And if you've seen the interviews with Harvey Levin on TMZ and how Fox News badgered him, to try to give up more information, and Harvey Levin held, strong to his ethics and not giving and divulging more information that he promised the FBI he wouldn't release. I'm sorry, but Harvey Levin gets a B+. That's sad. The billion-dollar questions. Do I believe Nancy is alive? Sadly, no, I don't. I'm praying that I'm wrong, though. I really am. Do you believe the ransom is real? I believe it was an afterthought. Maybe an afterthought of a robbery gone wrong, or an afterthought to cover up the murder. I have a lot of issues that I cannot throw out there because I can't prove them. But there are some things that don't make sense about the entire ransom demand and everything about it, the circumstances behind it. But I don't believe Nancy's alive. I don't think she was alive after that night. Afterthought, why? If you're going to kidnap an 84-year-old lady, you would think you'd want to case the location beforehand, not knowing that there's a Ring or a Nest doorbell. Apparently, it's a Nest doorbell now, and other security cameras. That's a rookie mistake, a huge mistake, because without casing it, you didn't know if those were floodlights or if they were actual video cameras that are on every corner of that house that would have picked up you coming up to the house, you walking up to the house, being in the entryway. All of that is just a huge rookie stupid mistakes. If you're going to rob the house, again, even an amateur, someone who's breaking into a house to steal stuff, why would you take a backpack full of shit if that's what your emphasis was to rob the place? Maybe the emphasis was to go there and kill an 84-year-old woman. Maybe that was the game plan all along. I don't know. Again, why contact the media with a ransom letter and not the family directly? Nikki and Savannah both have very public, well, they were up until this happened, very publicly known email addresses and contact information. Why would you contact the media with a ransom demand and letters in follow up if those are from the person holding her captive? Why would you do that? If instead of sending it directly or calling or contacting the family themselves, it doesn't make sense. If I'm going to hold one of you guys ransom, I most certainly am not going to contact TMZ, in California and say, hey, can you get this to, out to the family, or other news organization. I'd be like, contact the people I want the money from. Why do I want to add an extra step in there and delay the entire thing? Shout out to those who helped me verify actual factual evidence in this case so far. Austin, Selena, Scott, Janelle, and Ron. Why am I scrolling through your comments while I read through all that? The ice caps, good morning and welcome to this morning's stream. Just wondering, who is the lady and why is everyone making a big deal about her? The ice caps, Nancy Guthrie is the mother of Savannah Guthrie, who is the host of or co-host of the Today Show on NBC. That is why people are making such a big deal about it. And trust me, if her daughter Savannah wasn't the co-host of the Today Show, no one would have heard about this. It would have just vanished from the atmosphere just as fast as it happened. And why, I wonder, 4141, welcome and good morning. Last night, the ones from last night that were detained, the ransom demand came in too late for me to believe it was done for real money. That's one of the questions I also have, Gala. Why was the ransom letter? Why did it come in after the first news coverage? And in that ransom letter, they pointed out certain things that were covered in the initial newscast, like the missing, doorbell, the camera that was seen from the street level that was hanging from the actual corner of the house. Why were these the only things that were in there? Why not describe the nightgown she was wearing, the inside of the house and where the bedroom is that she was at, or something else more personal? But then again, maybe that stuff is in there, and maybe that's some of the information that Harvey Levin with TMZ, who publicly spoke about the letter, is withholding. We don't know, but I'm sure there'll be quite a few more people out there who will speculate on the entire thing. I hope she's okay too, but this is 2 weeks. Today is the 14th day. I'm biting my lip here before I respond to your other comment, Gala. Could this all be something that is being done to divert the nation's attention away from the Epstein files and the redacted Epstein files? Could it be? I don't think they came up and they created this situation to divert it away. I think that Kash Patel, flying from Washington D.C. to Arizona and then mysteriously we ended up with the video footage after he arrived and the still photos. I think that is a coincidence, right? Wink, wink. But I think that he's bringing more attention to it, and yes, I definitely feel that it is something now he doesn't have to answer questions about why they redacted and why they withheld information from the Epstein release. I'll say that much on that front. I don't know, Gemma, if it's family related. A lot of people have speculated. I don't know if you guys have seen. Go to my YouTube to my community tab. I posted a picture. Now I've had to post it twice. The first time I posted it, YouTube took it down, but the second time they haven't taken it down yet. But I used an AI filter, and I uploaded the picture of the person who may have taken Nancy, and I asked AI to clean up the image, and I posted a clearer vision of it. Now, of course, it could be wrong. It's AI, but they lightened up the area around the eyes and the mouth. And it very well, I mean, a lot of people say, look, that could be someone from the family. We don't know about the ethnicity of the individual, but there are other people who speculated, after they've seen that photo, that there's a chance that the photo could be a female and not a male, underneath all of that. And I still think that the perpetrator is wearing multiple layers to make themselves look bigger than they normally are. So, I mean, I don't see any signs that it. To me, I don't see any signs that it's a female in that disguise. But it's sad, no matter what. It definitely is. It's not the only one. But remember, there's a rule that the FBI has. It's called the 70% rule. 70%. In 70% of all kidnappings where someone is being held for ransom, 70%, they either know the perpetrator or the perpetrator is known to them. 70%. So if it is family related, it's someone who knows the perpetrator through a family member or something along that lines. There is some kind of connection in 70%. That's according to the FBI's own statistics. So, I mean, even if you take the case of Charles Lindbergh and the Lindbergh baby, you go back that far, the kidnappers there knew the Lindberghs, in that situation. So, I know, and the ones that kidnapped Frank Sinatra's son, they knew the family. They were connected to the family through a friend. That 70%, it all works out if you go back and you look at the cases of people that were kidnapped and held for ransom. This dude at the door that night, it was not experienced at this. I don't think he was familiar with the area of the house. No, neither do I, Gayla. And that's something I try to point out in the stream there. Was if this was a robbery gone wrong, obviously this individual didn't case the place beforehand. I mean, just standing at the end of the road looking at the house, you could see the Ring doorbell or the Nest, on camera, and you could see a camera on each corner in the front of the house. Why would you even pick that house if you were just trying to rob it? So obviously that person didn't case the place. And the way that they walked up and hunched over and then grabbed flowers to try to obscure the camera while they try to pull it off, it just screams amateur all from the beginning. And somebody who didn't know that there would be security on this house. So, good morning, Mike. Ala Akbar. Mike. Is it true the desert is full of dead bodies? Arizona? A lot. I mean, there was a lot of mines, not farms, but mines, from miners who died out there. And when they were buried, a lot of times they dug a very shallow grave, put stones over the top of them and a wooden cross, if anything at all. So I wouldn't say they're a lot, but they're definitely, people who are buried in the desert, especially outside of Tucson, going more towards Mesa. There's a lot of underground mining there. They just reported that last night was a nothing burger. We shall see. I don't see anything connected to it, but something had to lead them there. Either a tip that somebody called into the FBI or the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Something led them there. The FBI will blame Melania Trump next. Yeah, this is completely off topic, but yesterday, me and my wife were doing spring cleaning, getting rid of, particularly we were going through older bedding, mattress, sheets and pillow tops and pillowcases, putting together all the sets and stuff, cleaning out our linen closet, and we found two prayer rugs from a friend of ours who used to come visit, and needed to pray, in the morning. But we found them in the closet. They've been in there for probably about 5 or 6 years. I mean, the last time we can think of the last time they were here. But yeah, you're surprised. I don't know if anybody else has cleaned out their linen closets in a while, but we haven't done it in probably 7 or 8 years. And we had a lot of sheets and stuff that are missing, like one pillowcase, missing the top sheet, or the fitted sheet is somewhere, but we don't know where the hell it went, but we got everything else for it. So I'm surprised this was planned kidnapping, gone bad by workermen known to the property. Rumored that the sheriff isn't working well with the FBI. Yeah, I think the sheriff kind of dispelled that in the I don't want to say press conference because it was more of an interview with only one station yesterday, that there is some kind of strife between the FBI and the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's department he tried very hard to knock those rumors down. A lot of that was started by these people who say that they're reporting on the actual case itself, that, oh my God, why is this sheriff's department using this laboratory and not sending it to Quantico? That was like, there must be some kind of strife there. Let's report on that. It gives us something to talk about. Yeah. No. If the FBI is having an issue with the sheriff's department, they would take over, and that's point blank. Tomorrow afternoon, you wouldn't see the sheriff's department anymore. It would just be the FBI. But so obviously, it's a rumor that I don't think there's any founding on. So people are going to grasp at straws wherever they can to to try to support that. Did you see that the sheriff was the first one to show up? Where was the FBI? Why didn't the FBI show up yet? Anything to go with it. Let's see how many innocent people are detained tonight and how many rights are violated. Very good point. Why wonder? Um, Carlos, how do you pronounce that? Paul Azio, however he is, the Door Dasher and part-time Amazon delivery driver who was stopped, questioned, never afforded an attorney or the opportunity to have one, who was detained for over 3 hours total from the time that they stopped him until the time that they released him. Where's his constitutional rights? And I'm sure he's not. He's probably the one that we know of. Because every other person who gets stopped along the way by a police officer or sheriff or anybody else who's in the area or may have connections to the area within a 10-mile radius, I mean, that's a lot of people. But it's a very good question. Why wonder? Trump's helping hasn't done much. There's not much he can do, Mike. I mean, he can publicly say that I'll give you all the resources that we have, and I think right now the FBI, state and local, and the sheriff's department, I think they have all the resources that they need. They just need that one tip to be able to break this and to send them in the right direction. That Carlos is dumb as a stump. He couldn't orchestrate turning a light on, let alone this kidnapping. I don't know about that, Mike, but that's funny. But these things happen, especially in high-profile cases. So they're doing everything and turning over every rock they can to try to come up with a lead. I feel sorry for the person that's probably gonna get popped, where the DNA matches to them from all the different latex gloves or whatever that they found. Maybe they found 2 sets or 5 sets within a 10-mile radius. To me, it's probably going to be some poor utility worker or city contractor who was wearing them, working, and is not exactly the best at policing their own, work site and left them behind. And that's the person that DNA is going to match up to. I really don't know what to think. I feel bad for her and her family. Same here, Kitty Q. You think this is a cold case already? I hate to break the bad news to a lot of people out there when it comes to this case. If they do not solve this case in the next week, you're very, very right, Mike, in that the chances drop to less than 10% that they will ever solve the case if it's not solved in the next, I think, 9 days is when the deadline is. Because today's day 14. If it's not solved by day like 23 or 21, somewhere in there, don't quote me on that exactly, but it's right there. It's either the 21st day or the 23rd day. If it's not solved by then, the likelihood is, again, that she is less than, a small percentage she's alive, and it drops the percentage to less than 10% that it'll ever be solved. I have a feeling there's a lot more to this, and I don't put any stock in the actual ransom demand. I mean, I'll give the kidnapper, the kudos on doing a Bitcoin, as and using technology of today as opposed to put the money in a duffel bag and drop it in a trash can in a city park. At least, that was back, 70s, 80s, you'd see like some kind of ransom demand like that. At least they're using today's technology with Bitcoin. So there was some forethought put into the letter. Today's show's coverage is a strange mix of emotional news reporting. Francie, I haven't watched a single episode of the Today Show. Never. That I can think of. I've never watched a single episode of it. But I know that sounds strange. Never, ever? I don't watch television. I never have been a big fan of television. I mean, when I was younger, yeah, I Perry Mason, Starsky and Hutch, Hawaiian Five-0, Rampart, shows like that, Hill Street Blues back in the 80s. Yeah, I'd watch TV then, but last 40 years, no. No, I don't. I've never seen a complete episode, a single episode of The Sopranos or Breaking Bad. I've never seen a complete episode of either one of those shows, or Dawson Creek, or any of the other like well talked about and hyped television shows. Never seen them. I think the last episode of anything I watched on television from beginning to end was probably the X-Files. That was probably the last one that I watched. And I think it was because it was the last episode. I'm betting the ransom note was Chat GPT made. I think that's what it's called. Chat GPT. That is an actual real AI website. But there's I think they're on version 5 now. So it's Chat GPT 5 is the newest one. I don't know. I used a completely different AI program to put the picture in, because I don't know if regular Chat GPT can do photos, but I know Chat GPT and Gemini, which is Google's AI, they definitely make a lot of mistakes. So until they correct it and it gets a lot better, I don't think I'll ever be using it. I heard Harvey Levin on TMZ said that, Kitty that the letter was very sophisticated in wording, to the point. It showed a certain level of education and forethought. I just realized that stupid scroll was going by. It was supposed to stop a while ago. I don't see when you guys see that scroll at the bottom of the screen, it doesn't show on my end. I have to look. All right, so this is my right, this is my left. So up there, all the way over here, is a completely another box. That's where I see the scroll, along with the private chat is right there below it. I just now looked up over in the corner and I saw that the scroll was still going by. I thought I turned it off. My bad. That's what made me think it was AI generated, or somebody put a lot of thought into it as an afterthought. I know a lot of people have definitely speculated that that this entire thing was done by Tommaso, Nikki's husband. There's a lot easier ways to get $5 million out of the family than kidnapping your mother-in-law and holding her ransom. Yeah, she's 84. She ain't gonna put up a hell of a fight, but she's a fighter all the same. Don't forget, that Nancy Guthrie, when she was widowed back in 1988, with very limited help from her family and friends, very limited, She was able to pick up the pieces, raise 3 children by herself, put herself in a situation where she could work and had daycare for 3 young children. And she did all of that on pretty much on her own. And she stayed at that job, raised them, put them through college, got them, moving on with their lives. Not so much for her son. He joined the Air Force, but I mean, Nikki and for Savannah, and she did all that. So that's someone who's going to fight. They're not going to, roll over and give up tomorrow because, the situation looks dire. But widowed at, he was 49 years old when he died, her husband. (16 in 1988). Savannah was. I knew she was a teenager, but I didn't know just how old she was. Thought she was younger than that, though. Coffee Talk with Will. Good morning, Interpeas. Welcome to this morning's Page 2 News. Coffee Talk. I hope you had a great week, Interpeas. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. Yeah, that's what I found. I finally found the comment I was looking for. Gayla said, "I don't suspect." Well, see, I can put it right on the screen. I don't suspect this kidnapping was for revenge, for the money. Maybe a beef with Nancy or Savannah. Now that actually was discussed a little bit. He was a former FBI agent. I can't remember what his name is, though. I can picture him. Not much of a help, is it? But anyways, because of Savannah's high profile, the initially after it happened, I think it was on the 2nd of February. He started, this agent, former FBI agent, was talking about the connection between possibly, a high profile case like this being a high profile and the notoriety that would come from it, because Nancy is the mother of someone famous. That was definitely been thrown out there, and it may be somebody who has a beef with her or someone who was a fan of hers. and felt scolded or rebuffed from her advances or whatever. That could there be something like that that plays into it, and it's not really about the money? That's a good question. Think it may have been for revenge? It could be. All you're saying about it is news to me. Hippie J, good morning. Love the logo. American flag weed. That's pretty cool. Smoke them if you got them. Still feel it's an inside job, family member or someone close. The likelihood is there's a chance at that, Hippie J, that it's connected to somebody who either knows the family or has been knows who's there. I mean, if you let's take this one step at a time. Let's just say it was a random act, and the person was going there to rob the house. Let's say that they're drug dependent on top of it, right? And we know that the person, when once they entered the house, we know that there's approximately a 40-minute time frame where that individual was inside the house before they left. So we know that they're what were they doing all that time they were in there? Were they looking for valuables? It was there when they came in to investigate it. Did they find that drawers and in the bedroom had been opened and rifled through? There's got to be something else there to connect to, but we don't know that information because the FBI has never said anything. Neither has the Pima County Sheriff's Department. But if it was just a random act that somebody wanted to rob this house, if you're going to break in, you well, I'm going to get to another thing that just popped in my head here. But if you're going to break in to rob the place, you think you'd want to get in and out as fast as possible. Was my point about them being in the house for close to 40 minutes. You'd want to get in and out. Now, here's something that I think a lot of people haven't clued in on is according to the Pima County Sheriff's Department and FBI and all of their press conferences, they've never alluded to that forcible entry was found at the house. How did the perpetrator get into the house in the first place? We know from just the actual footage of the front door, they disassembled the actual Nest camera. They didn't kick in the front door because there's no damage, from all the video and footage we've seen from the house, and we've seen up close, footage of the front door area. There's no signs of a footprint on the door. There's no broken door jamb that you can see there. So the perpetrator still had to get into the house to get to Nancy Guthrie. So that does lead credence to, okay, they got in somehow. Did they disconnect the camera and get rid of the camera because they had a key? Or they knew of another way to get in, or an open window or a door? And if that was the case, there is no doors or windows or sliding doors or anything like that on the front of the house in that foyer area that would get them into the house. There is a sliding glass door and there's a back door on the back of the house. And if that was going to be the entry point, why would you screw around with the front? As soon as you found the front door locked and you found out it's got a camera on it, yeah, you get rid of the camera, you get the hell away from there, and then you come around to the back. Why did none of the other cameras catch a picture or motion? We know that there was one security feature in the house, inside the house, not outside, but inside the house, that detected an actual person. Now, don't put that to much value to it. I have the Ring camera system And I get that warning all the time because I have house cats, and it constantly is telling me that it detected a person. It's not a person. It could be a cat. It could be a branch, rubbing by the window, or anything. That what it's doing is it's detecting motion. But if they went around to the back and they got in, why have we not seen more and more coverage of them putting up temporary tents and stuff like that at the back of the house? We've seen it at the front of the house. We've seen them in the septic tank behind the house. We've seen them over to the left of the house. Why not the back door or the window? We don't know how the perpetrator again, does that point us towards it's an inside job or connected to the family? Yeah. And we don't know if it, again, Kitty Q, we don't know if anything else was stolen. No jewelry, money stolen, just her. Okay, right? So that would dispel that robbery was the motive. Then again, why was the person in the house for that long? If the timeline matches up and is real, and we're supposed to believe that the timeline is real from when her pacemaker, was out of range and from her Apple smartwatch, the tower that sits in the house itself that transmits information to the cardio unit. If she was out of range after this point of time when there was a detected motion and that thing, again, 40 minutes, 45 minutes worth of time. What the hell were they doing in the house? Were they making a sandwich? Are we looking at a Richard Ramirez situation here? In case you're not familiar, the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, he would break into homes and then he would make himself food and he would eat everything he could. And sometimes he even took a shower, but that was after he killed them, though. But he'd be in the place for extended periods of time. Are we looking at somebody who did something like that? If not, tell us that. Tell us that they were in. Why were they in the house for that long? Was there anything missing? I mean, we know that they didn't walk out with a giant television. I think she had a television, but I don't think she had a giant one. Probably like a 60-inch TV or something. Local sheriff pretty much let the crime scene get contaminated. Seems like Hippie J, there's definitely something to be said about that and how they took down the police barrier and the tape too soon. Yeah, there's definitely, and the crime scene definitely was entered by a lot of people before they did a complete scrub of it. Yeah, I understand from what the sheriff said that they need to release the property back to the family as soon as possible. Yeah, great. But shouldn't you have started again from the edge of the property and worked your way through with your entire investigation team, doing everything in the house, then check the outside, again, or maybe 3 teams, one at the front of the house, one at the back of the house, and one inside. And then, once you've gone through everything, then and only then bring the family members in, make them put on gloves and booties on their feet so they don't track in DNA. And then you have them come through. Is there anything missing? We never saw that. Yeah, I do believe that the Pima County Sheriff's Department did let people in, and too many different people in beforehand, which can contaminate the actual crime scene. Because as I'm sitting right here, and wherever you are sitting, I'm guessing, you're sitting and you're not standing and watching this. We are all constantly shedding hair follicles and skin cells and stuff like that. They're shedding off us all the time. We are disgusting, little beings on this earth. We're constantly doing that. And that could be all over this table, me talking, a droplet of saliva, or a hair falls off my head, or a skin flakes off onto the table. That's DNA. But they let all these people in, and that could contaminate the crime scene. I do believe there is something there with letting the crime scene come down too soon. Good morning, Mustard Chief. Just passing by to hit that thumbs up. Thank you. Many years ago, my home was burglarized and they took food. Huh. I'm sorry about that, Gayla. That's got to be fucking nerve wracking as hell. Sorry for my language, but it is because even if they just stole food, you lose that sense of security, and you lose that sense of safety within your own home. I mean, your home is supposed to be your castle and where you feel the safest. And it just stealing food, that means that somebody was there and trespassed upon that sacred, area for you. I have never been robbed while I was home. Now, I was in the hospital after knee surgery, and it just happened to be my knee surgery coincided with us moving from one home to another, and we just bought a new home. Uh, and while I was gone, my wife wasn't going back to the house enough, to make sure that it was secure. And we had somebody break in and steal a lot of tools from me from the garage. And it was like, I never get over that. I'll never ever be able to get over that. That somebody would, even though that was still my space and that was my belongings, and I still to this day the number one thing I can't stand: thieves and liars. Can't stand thieves and I can't stand liars. Samantha Mustard McDowell. We were burglared while my husband, myself, and 6 children were in bed. Oh, jeez. Oh, boy. The culprits were your neighbor, teens, son, friends. Second time walked in on them. A year later, I joined the police department. That's how people get killed. They really do. They think they're committing a harmless little, B&E and, just stealing food. Show up at my house, and I find you in my pantry or kitchen at 2 o'clock in the morning. There's a good chance we'll be calling somebody afterwards, but it won't be for me. You can watch a thief, but you can never trust a liar. Very true. Yeah, there are a lot of holes in this investigation, and the missing of Nancy Guthrie. And I think that's why a lot of people are paying attention to it, besides the fact that her daughter is famous. I mean, and a lot of people are not paying attention, or putting a lot of focus on Nikki Guthrie. She's famous in her own right. If you don't know who Nikki Guthrie is, her Savannah's sister, she's an award-winning poet and writer. And then their brother Cameron, he's an award-winning decorated combat pilot. I mean, they're all famous in different circles, but I'm just surprised that no one is. Everything I see on the news, Savannah Guthrie's mom. How about Nikki's mom? And not that Nikki wants the attention that way, but she's famous in her own right. Hit that button, thumbs up button. Stream watching from Southern Ohio. Oh boy, I hope you're being able to stay safe today and warm, Hippie J. Annie is the sister. What did I say? Nikki? Did I say Nikki? I did that again, didn't I? I have my notes in front of me. You guys would not believe how many times, in typing these things up and putting my notes together, I spelled the last name Guthrie wrong. For some reason, I kept on spelling it Guthrie. I don't know why I kept on adding an extra IE to it, But I probably did. I probably referred to her as Nikki again. But you're right. Thank you, Gayla. Yeah, it's just like Austin. You guys don't, I'm sure you guys don't know who Austin is and how Austin is connected to this case, but there have been other crimes in the area where um, Nancy Guthrie lived, and let's just say if you look back through the reason why she actually got the surveillance camera in the first place, you'd understand that there are other crimes that have happened in this area. There hasn't been any kidnappings or murders or anything serious felonies, but there have been other crimes in that area, and that's why she got the Ring camera system in the first place, because she didn't feel safe in her own environment because of where and how things were changing around her. Now, remember, she's lived in the same place since the 1970s, and there has been a lot of changes in that area with different people and things that she didn't like, and that's why she got the camera system. You're here to help. Thank you, Mustard Chief EIEIO, and Gayla is here to help. Nicki Minaj is the sister. I don't. Speaking of Nicki Minaj interviews, put a 1 in the comment section now if you give a shit about Nicki Minaj and who she supports politically. I don't care personally. Well, who Nicki Minaj supports or Taylor Swift or any of these stars. I don't care who they endorse or who they support. I mean, Hollywood is a whole other story when it comes to what's going on in this world. Your home should be your castle. Absolutely true, Mustard Chief. It should be the one place that you feel safe and that that you're away from the rest of the world. That's how you get shut-ins, people who stay in their homes. I've got to get ready to go to the grocery store. I have to pick up food for my husband's Valentine's Day supper. I'm listening though. Well, Kitty Q, I'm about to end this morning stream. And for everybody out there, if I hope that you all have a great Valentine's Day. If you're able to celebrate it with the ones that you love, please do. If not, take a moment and do something for yourself today. If you can and you're out and about, maybe you're pumping your car full of gas, save a couple bucks that you don't put in the gas tank that you're not going to need this week, and go inside and buy yourself a candy bar. I think candy bars still cost less than a couple of dollars. I don't know. I don't eat them. But anyways, treat yourself to something nice. Do something for yourself today. And remember, even if you can't celebrate today with someone you love, you can celebrate it here with us. So thank you again for everyone being here. I really, truly hope that you all have a terrific day. And before we wrap this up, I have no idea which one of the 3 trivia nights we're doing tomorrow. I have none of them done, and I'm working on 3 separate ones at the same time, and whichever one gets finished is what's going to be tomorrow's trivia night. But you all have a terrific day today. And remember, you stay safe out there. You never know who's going to be standing next to you next, and you never know who's going to be knocking at your door. Bye.